Welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free from narcissistic abuse with quantum tools and understandings. So, have you been haunted by terrible nightmares about the narcissist? Do you feel like he or she is crawling under your skin? Do you find it almost impossible to stop thinking about this person? Are you experiencing flashbacks and triggers going off all the time, which is making it nearly impossible to be out and about in everyday life because you don't know when you're going to feel the next meltdown coming on? Do you feel like there is a hose stuck into you which is sucking your literal life force out to the level where you feel so exhausted, shaky, numb and foggy that you barely have the energy or the concentration to even do the most basic of tasks? This is all the stuff that we're going to address today, and it's really important stuff. And it's truly incomprehensible what is happening to us unless we work it out. Most of us previous to narcissistic abuse know what it's like to be heartbroken or hurt by somebody or upset or even be really angry at someone. But why is it like now? Somebody has given us a disease that feels like it's spreading throughout our being. And it seems to have a life of its own, and it doesn't go away no matter what we do, even if we get away from this person for good. Welcome to the sordid, terrible, ghastly, unfathomable effects of narcissistic abuse, which truly make us feel like we've been permanently damaged and we may never feel normal again. Okay, does it still feel like this for you? Does it feel like this for you? Or did it used to feel like this for you? So what I'd like you to do right now is stop this video, scroll down and share your answer with me. Okay, so now that you're back, thank God we have a tribe here who understands, because unless you've been through this, people think that you should be over it by now, and they can't for the life of them understand why you don't just get on with your life. So how could they understand unless they'd been through this themselves? Today, I'm going to talk to you about this, the real truth of narcissistic abuse, which is a deadly trauma that changes us deeply at many chemical and physiological levels and psychological. Sadly, many people never heal from this. At best, they merely attempt to live with all of the symptoms of narcissistic abuse, which are significant. And it generally diminishes their life greatly. So, not only, please know, not only can we heal from this, we can also re-emerge from the ashes of what's happened to us and soar like a phoenix, which really is the death of who we were being and the birth of who we can become. It is that big. All right, so let's have a look at the inner being damage that we suffer from a narcissist. What happens? And it was at first really subtle, because around this person we might feel tired or down or drained or annoyed. And little did we know that just being in their presence meant that they were feeding off our life force. And we start to notice that it's all about this person and really we're quite irrelevant. And when things become totally insidious with narcissists, not only are we being drained of our vital life force, as well as our resources and money and things that are important in our life, we also start to become the brunt of the narcissist's nastiness, their moods, accusations, and their put-downs. And as we get battered and broken down, the narcissist has easier access into our inner being to suck us dry of our good stuff, our attention, our care, our desire to right the wrongs. Narcissists do trash a lot of things, and we're able to hold it together. That's our good stuff, which narcissists need others to do for them because they're a disordered self. And all along we are simply throwing good energy down the drain, because no matter what the narcissist gains from us, there is not the ability for them to become the cultivation of their own life force, good feelings and solid integrity. No matter what we do, we will never get genuine love, loyalty and devotion in return. No matter what we give, we will never be genuinely appreciated. There's one key I believe is necessary to heal from narcissistic abuse, but I've got to be frank. To get to the truth means giving up the versions of life that we were operating from previously, which were the cognitive, logical ones. And it's totally necessary, because even the most intelligent of us cannot reconcile why on earth we feel like we've had a soul takeover. That the very core of our identity has been infiltrated by what feels like an inky, sticky black dread, a gnawing inner emptiness, like a deep chasm that we could fall into and get swallowed up by and never find our way out of again. That's what it feels like. And we feel like we're literally haunted and possessed by this person, the narcissist, even if we're no longer physically in contact with him or her. How is that logical? The truth is it isn't. Many of us who've been previously spiritual or quantumly interested or fascinated, we can have an easier time accepting what I believe is the truth about this, what's really happened to us. Yet even, I've found, the most previously logical of people, after accepting a deeper way to work with this and after recovering, know what I'm about to share with you to be true as well. The truth is, we've suffered an assault at the level of our spirit, of our soul. It's about so much more going on at the psychic energetic level, in our soul, in our spirit, than meets the eye. And today's conversation is all about that and getting better. It's about healing the deep assaults and poisoning that's happened to our spirit and our soul. It's about realizing the missing piece in our recovery that most people aren't talking about and many are not addressing. This is about a necessary trauma exorcism. It's also about our own soul retrieval. And it's nowhere near enough to just get away from a narcissist and get some facts straight in our head, like saying, you know, this person abused me, they're a narcissist, they were merciless, and they destroyed me and my life. That is not going to be the resolution of our soul and our spirit, no matter what we learn about narcissists and no matter what we do practically to try to just get better and get on with it. Rather, you literally have to detox this person and their assaults from your being, from your literal cells. You also have to purge the damage of the assaults to your being before the narcissist, the epigenetic family history of trauma, your personal past life debris, and the childhood traumas that are being replayed with present-day narcissists now. So that the haunting, the imprints, the nightmares, the flashbacks, the voices in your head are gone forever. How are you going to get well if you don't get rid of those things? You won't. And how long could you be carrying this terrible narcissistic virus, this disease within you? Many people, sadly, tragically, report it for decades afterwards. Many people will take it with them to their graves and into their next lifetimes, and then be a trauma match for the identical traumas again in these future lives. As it is, I believe, I totally believe, lifetime to lifetime, we go through the same traumas with the same characters until we heal and evolve ourselves beyond it. That was one of the things that kept me alive in this lifetime and fighting on, because I was like, I am not going to go through this again. I just can't come back and repeat this stuff. So the truth is, Time does not heal narcissistic abuse. Rather, the trauma inside us spreads just like a cancer if it's not addressed. And today I'm going to explain to you how to address it, face it, remove it, and take your life force back. This is a soul war that you're fighting. And I believe that there is no more reason to go to war than for your own soul. So the following, I believe, is the truth of what is really going on with our interactions with narcissists. I believe that by the time a person has reached the level of being a pathological narcissist, that their soul has become catatonic. The soul is being completely polluted and taken over or taken out by the narcissist personality. Their inner being is no longer operational, therefore the ability to have good feelings, generate them, and be connected to the essential umbilical cords of life force and a higher power for the sustaining of humanness, which is joy, love, connection, and well-being, is null and void. This connection to true self is essential for all humans to feel whole and not be in the constant state of anxiety and depression, needing false sources to be able to fill up with and try to feel whole again. These false sources are anything or anyone who is not that deep intrinsic connection to ourselves, life, and our higher power. This is what we mean when we say no one else can make you happy. They can't. It's not their job. And this is the narcissist position, being out on the raw edge with figuratively no way home because there's no soul left to connect. And because false solutions can never provide anything other than ego food, the narcissist is never doing the self-reflection, the self-work to heal their inner being and revive their soul. And therefore the false self, the only entity present within, is always in a state of needing more and more in order to offset the terrible depression and anxiety that always threatens to engulf, which is a state of being disconnected from true source and taking quick fixes rather than establishing the authentic soul connection to self and life. An example is, think of a drug addict who's self-avoiding themselves, they're not healing their traumas, and they don't have a true connection with themselves, and instead they're taking drugs to try to drown out the pain of that. The cancer, the trauma inside them is spreading because it's unattended to, and the pain is screaming louder and louder, which is the emotional agony of it. And the screams are about, come inwards and heal these fractures. Yet the drug addict needs to take more and more drugs to try to shut that screaming up, to escape the pain and to hopefully feel okay. And the narcissist does the same thing. He or she needs more attention, accolades, sex, money, status, connections, power and possessions to offset the terrible trauma of feeling disconnected from him or herself and life. And you, as the abuse victim, are the drug used to siphon as much as possible from to sustain the narcissist's false self. And not is the narcissist just doing these things. The narcissist is literally psychically and energetically plugged into your soul, taking a feed from that juice, from your literal life force and connection to life force, that the narcissist is completely closed off from because their own soul no longer works. And of course, there is no scientific or physical proof of this. There's no way you can go to your doctor and have an x-ray and say, oops, there's 10 pounds of my soul is now in the narcissist's possession and the remaining 20 pounds is falling apart and it's full of holes. But doesn't it feel like that? Truly, if we are to evolve ourselves, we need to open up to the right side of our brain hemisphere and start acknowledging the power of the unseen and the unconscious, which is now scientifically proven to be responsible for over 90% of our lives our feelings, the non-tangible, what's going on in our subconscious programs, that there is no logical physical proof for whatsoever. What we feel and know deeply inside us and the results that we can start living in our being and our lives when we address the unseen world, the emotional self, are completely transformational. And this happens when we go quantum. And you may be thinking, Melanie, no matter how bad I feel right now in my soul, hang on, actually I'm not even sure where my soul is. Is it my head? Is it my body? Does it float around somewhere around me? You might be thinking, until medical proof shows me what you're saying is real, I can never accept that it is. And if that's your position, I'm saying to you right now, by the time that is available, practically, scientifically, and one day it will be, it's going to be too late for you anyway. We don't have time after narcissistic abuse to stay logical. It hurts too much. We need to move out of the 5 sensory position of I'll believe it when I see it to I'll start believing what I feel without physical proof, and then I'll start seeing it. You want to get well, we all do. Does it matter how we get there? No. What matters is that we do. Narcissistic abuse is very, very different to your normal garden variety relationship breakup with people who are not great people to have relationships with. These other people, they may be selfish, unloving, and unavailable. Yet there's a huge difference in the aftermath of these relationships as opposed to one with a narcissist. In the first category, you may have been heartbroken and even lied to and betrayed, which of course is horribly painful. Yet in the second, with a narcissist, you almost lost your spirit and your soul, and what is left of it has been damaged significantly. Now you're literally fighting for your life, because you're fighting for your soul that has almost become catatonic. This is a soul war that you're entrenched in. Make no mistake. Narcissists lost their souls. They already lost the war, usually to a narcissist who abused them, or they lost this war, their soul, to significant epigenetic or past life traumas that they didn't overcome in this lifetime. This war is a human epidemic. Are you going to lose your soul, or are you going to win it back? That's really the pertinent question. And I know you know what it's like to live with a damaged soul. It's unspeakable. We know it's like having no life force inside us that is healthy or good. It feels like we're in the bowels of hell, the exits are closed, and we have no idea how we're going to survive the hell field that has become our inner landscape. Already, maybe, we're trying to self-medicate to survive. We're taking things like alcohol or cigarettes or drugs or food or sex. Maybe it's shopping, social media, or constantly being on abuse forums, venting about what happened to us. Yet no matter what we try to take or do to avoid what's happening inside of us, the pain isn't going away. Why? Because our souls are sick. They've lost their connection to ourselves and life force. And unless we heal them, this is what we're going to be stuck with. And there are some who may relinquish themselves to narcissism. They may come up with eventually, they lose the war and they come up with, well, if I can't beat them, join them. And they step over that line and they create a pathological false character because surviving their true damaged selves is just too difficult. Many of us can't and won't do this, and we'd rather die than become that. Yet others will. The very fact that you're subscribed to my work and you're watching this video today means that you do want to get better. You want to find the way out of your personal hell. And you want to become your true self again. And startingly, when you do, what you will realize if you do the true inner soul work is that you'll become even more of your true self than you were even before narcissistic abuse, even if abuse is all you've ever known since a small child, or if you've suffered it for many lifetimes. So the bottom line is this: the only way to get well from soul devastation is soul work. It's the inner work. It's not about ignoring the narcissistic voice in our head, the triggers, the nightmares, the meltdowns, and the feelings of black ink coursing through our veins. Rather, it's about going directly to these things with the full intention of releasing and healing those parts of ourselves that are presently trapped in these traumas. People may tell you to ignore them and go no contact with them, but this is the deal. The trauma in your inner being is no different than a virus in your computer system, which is destroying files and the hard drive as time goes on. It's your computer, no matter what Trojan you picked up off the internet. And because it's your computer, it's your responsibility, because only you can start doing whatever is necessary to get that virus out and restore your computer back to health. Otherwise, it's not going to function. It's going to keep breaking down and you're not going to be able to do the tasks that you want to do. The state of your inner being truly is no different. The true inner work is quite simple when you know how to do it. At the quantum level of healing, it is so less complicated than trying to work it all out cognitively. When we work with quantum freedom healing, there's nothing to work out, only trauma to release and get out, and then replace it with our essential connection with life force and our higher power, which brings in the connection where the trauma once was. And that automatically links us back into our soul health and gets our soul back online. And possibly we experience that for the first time in our entire life, regardless of what may or may not have been our history previously. So having said that, it's simple, please don't mistake me for saying it's easy. Meeting our inner trauma, our warts and all, the parts of ourselves we'd rather not go to, is the most confronting, challenging work we may ever do. Yet it brings the greatest rewards that we could ever possibly imagine. So people ask all the time, how do I get rid of my trauma? And it's so hard to explain and show people quantum healing principles in words, in just simple instructions. In fact, it's almost impossible to, because it's not logical sequential work. It really needs to be experienced simply by doing it. And today, that's exactly what I want to invite you to do. I'd love you to join me in this essential soul healing and retrieval work that NARP and quantum freedom healing is. That's why it's so powerful and why it's so successful. And you can do that by doing a free workshop with me. And I promise you that this may be exactly the key that changes everything for you in your healing, just as it was for myself and so many thousands of people in this community. So to do that, it's time. All you need to do is to click the link at the top right of the video, and then make sure that after signing up for the free ebooks and other things that you follow it through to that free workshop where you come in and experience the relief inside you for yourself. So if you've had enough, you know what it is. There's only 3 things we can do. Keep smiling because we know there is a solution. Keep healing because we have to. And keep thriving, and that's what we do when we heal. So I hope that this has helped. Lots of love. Bye-bye.